Welcome back, all my 40K fanatics out there. I'm DJ here with Tim's Nation, and it is time for new cards. That's right, the chapter approved deck has been released, and this is our debut game on the channel where I will be taking the Grey Knights into Lane's Deathwatch. I have been testing this Grey Knights for a while. I felt very strong with it, very comfortable with it, and like I've been talking about, we're getting ready for GTs. And I really feel like with these new cards, the Grey Knights have gotten a significant power boost, especially with a lot of these secondaries that you can score doing actions at the end of my turn. Being able to pick up units, take a single model off the table at the end of my opponent's turn, skipping the battle shock step, and then placing it down the field and allowing that unit to still be able to complete an action is going to be huge, 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 huge for the overall scoring of this game. So it's tempting. It's tempting. It's tasty. And so I'm going to play some Grey Knights here. We're going to see how these guys do into these new cards. We got Challenger cards. We got a whole bunch of new mechanics we're going to be seeing. So I can speculate all we want, but until we actually get a taste for it and can play the game with these cards, that's all it is, speculation. So let's take a look at the list. After the balanced data slates, not really any changes here. And what we're going to be bringing here today. All right, here it is, 1,985 points of Grey Knights out of the Warp Strike Task Force. I'm sorry, Warp Bane Task Force. This is the Grotmist attachment that gives us Hallowed Ground special rule, which means we get full rerolls to hit when we are wholly within Hallowed Ground, which is either a home deployment zone, no man's land if we control at least half the objective markers there, or our opponent's deployment zone if we control the objective marker there. It also extends to the Purifiers. So if you're wholly within 6 inches of a Purifier, basically gives them the aura that you will then have full rerolls to hit. Otherwise, your army will still have reroll ones to hit. So Purifiers are super good out of this detachment. Now, one thing that did come from the balanced data slates was a fix. Prior to this, you could not reroll hits when targeting a model or unit that was not within, that you could not see. This meant if you charged a unit on the other side of the wall, you would not reroll hits because you technically couldn't see them. Although you could fight them in combat because you could get within engagement, you could not reroll the hits. They did clean this up and fix this. We all thought that was kind of silly, but rules as written, so we went with it. They did clean it up, and now it is shooting attacks. You can only reroll the hits if you can see the target, but melee attacks are all melee attacks you can reroll the hits into. So they did kind of clean that up a little bit and decipher it. So that's nice for us for melee. At least we don't have that silly kind of cadence. All right. For the army. Now, this is a very, MSU infantry-based force that I'm running here. A lot of toughness for 2-wound marine-bodied models, but they are not Marines because they have a 2-up save. These are, this is what Grey Knights do. First and foremost, we have our Land Raider. Previous iteration of those running the Land Raider Crusader. I had the points to bump this guy up to a regular Land Raider. This means that this guy out of my home deployment zone will be re-rolling hits with those las cannons. And since nope, they're not twin link, I'm sorry. They're just re-rolling the hits with the las cannons. So that's a lot more efficiency, anti-tank efficiency, especially on an army that kind of lacks some anti-tank. Dread Knights are decent, but having those las cannons be able to turn up like that is going to be really, really nice. And he still does all the tricks that I want him to be able to do. Now, he only has a 10-inch move as opposed to the 12-inch move, but he can still get out there on an objective, hold an objective down, and just be a tough, tough tank. So a lot of still play out of him. Another thing I like to use is the interceptors to get into him and disembark them plus 3 inches. And then they have their 12-inch move, and then they can shoot and move again. They can really get the Purifiers moving across the table very, very quick. I'm sorry, Purifiers. Interceptors moving across the table quickly. Having that assault ramp to get that extra move for the Purifiers is also very nice, since they can still disembark and be able to charge. So a lot of good utility that comes out of the Land Raider here and this infantry-based attachment, and a lot of little extra tech that I can use with it to get some extra movement in an army that already has some excellent movement play. All right, so first and foremost, we're going to go right into the namesake. We have 30 Purifiers. I've been working on these guys. Still got a little work to do to get these ready for tournament, but we have done we got a lot of push since where we last were. So 2 of these 10-man Purifier squads come equipped with 4 Psy cannons. What Purifiers do is, first of all, they're going to have full rerolls to hit for the entire game because they will always be within 6 inches and be within hollowed ground because they are the beacon for it. If one of these guys get removed, one model goes down, they get +1 to hit. If the squad is dropped below 50%, they also get +1 to wound on top of it. These squads are deadly down to the last guy, depending on how you want to pull models in this unit. Since it's a 10-man, I have 4 side cannons in 2 of them, 4 incinerators in the other 2. The ones with 4 side cannons, if I want, I can pull the side cannons first, leaving me with that combat option. There's a 1 command point strap that is super vicious that gives these guys full rerolls to wound. So on top of the full rerolls to hit, having full rerolls to wound. So going into some tougher vehicle targets with +1 to wound means that these guys can hit and punch up significantly well, actually. Strength 6, AP 2, 2 damage. They can get through a lot of stuff there. Basically, you have to be toughness 12 really to affect me. If you're toughness 11 or below, then with that +1 to wound at just like 4 guys remaining at 3 attacks apiece, we're still going to be able to wound them on 4 up. So these guys are violent in multiple scenarios. And the strat that lets them reroll wounds can be used in the shooting or fight phase for 1 command point. Super powerful strat with these guys that makes them very, very efficient. On top of that, we have Castle and Crow, and he's going to be leading our 3rd Purifier squad, which is the one with the incinerators. Great Overwatch. Excellent Overwatch with these guys with the incinerators. Now, granted, the full rerolls to hit helps a lot of other stuff. We don't have sustained or lethal really to come off those to make it super efficient and really juicy. But the incinerators alone, these guys are great anti-infantry shredding units. You just land down, hit one unit really hard, and then look across the table and go, if you do something, I'm going to burn you. Especially when people have a nice little deep strike or a rapid ingress, and dropping these guys in on a rapid ingress themselves and going, when you charge, I'm going to overwatch you, is a awesome threat and can really mess with some people who are like, great, I rapid ingress, I'm in a great position, boom, here we go. So Purifiers, these guys are the bread and butter. They are toughness 4, 2 wound Marines, but that 2 up save really helps. And these guys, I've been really liking these guys a lot, especially in this attachment. Next up, we have 3 Purgation squads. Still need some work on these guys, but they did shift over. This is the reason for the rule change. So Purgation Marines have the ability to shoot artillery as long as another Grey Knight model can draw a line of sight to the target. So then they get indirect, which meant that you were having full rerolls to hit on their side cannons if they were within hollow ground. That was powerful, but GW did not want that for our indirect, so we don't get the full rerolls to hit, only if we can see the target. These are 5-man squads with 4 side cannons. Very easy to thread, very easy to put in points, very easy to put by Purifiers, and just face down something and put 4 side cannons into it. With the 8 side cannons spread across 2 Purifier squads, combined with the extra 12 side cannons we're bringing here, we have, with as well 2 more, 22 side cannons in this list. That's a lot of side cannon fire that's usually rerolling hits that can start shredding through vehicles. I was happy with these guys into Imperial Knights. I'm very happy with them in general. And like I said, these Purge Marines, 5-man squads. These guys can pick up, this is MSU at its finest, pick up, land somewhere else, complete an action, land, shoot at targets. There's a lot of different roles these guys can do, and they're relatively significantly pointed well compared to other 5-man 4 wound toughness. Toughness 4, 2 wound, 2 up save units that the Grey Knights can bring. Moving on, we have a 5-man squad of strike with a Brotherhood champion. So the Brotherhood champion he helps in a lot of different ways. Number one, he has the fight first capability. So when these guys, if they heroic, if they if they get charged, these guys are at least able to fight first into those situations, which can help keep them alive. Yes, it's only 5 Marines, but those 5 Marines are all packing 3 attacks, strength 6, AP 2, 2 damage, on top of the fact of the Brotherhood champion being able to reroll hits and wounds into character units. Gives him a lot of efficiency. He is the Radiant champion, so whenever he does, he already has precision, so it's more for the mortal wound aspect of it. So whenever he does successfully wound a target, they take a mortal wound in addition to the normal damage. So he can really go into a infantry unit that's led by a character and do a huge amount of damage by himself very quickly. Also being able to do fight first. These guys are great for heroic interventions, just to be able to or protect a unit from a charge with their heroic intervention, and multiple things like that. The strike also have sticky objectives. So while you're not having those positions, while these guys are sitting on defense, they can still contribute very much so to being able to sticky objectives and the teleport away. I like these guys a lot for starting off to protect my home field and then move up into positions to get ready to charge. So good little 5-man here. No special weapon. They're all swords because their aspect is that counter charge aspect of being able to pick stuff up and having the Brotherhood champion go in there and do work. I know a lot of people like the Radiant champion on a Tech Marine, and you might say, why not the Tech Marine because of the Land Raider and that stuff? One, I don't expect that they're going to be with the Land Raider long enough to be able to really get that access for that +1 to hit from the Tech Marine. And two, while the Tech Marine does get more attacks that it can do that extra mortal damage with, the Brotherhood Champion's attacks are a little more reliable. So I kind of like that, to be able to have a little more of a guarantee on those mortal wounds into character units versus the throw dice and hope for the best in those situations. Now, another strat I didn't talk about yet is there is a 1 command point strat that lets you deep strike a unit wholly within 6 inches of wholly within hollowed ground and outside of 6 inches of the opponent or enemy unit. These guys could, with the Purifiers pick up, land, deep strike these guys in, charge, and take an objective. They are OC2 being battle line units. And yeah, it could be a big point swing there to charge these guys onto objective. And their fight first capability lets them have some defense on that objective too. Moving over, we got 2 5-man of the Interceptors. Interceptors are fast. 12-inch move. There's a side cannon in each one of them. They can shoot and then move again. That's their ability, is to shoot and then make a 6-inch normal move. These guys can do a lot of stuff. So they're able to deep strike, as everything in my army except for 1 unit can. They have the 12-inch move. They have that extra 6-inch move. They can embark in the Land Raider and get that extra boosted move out of there. It's just strong MSU. You know, they're a fast 5-man unit that can get over on objectives, score points for me early, force my opponent to bring units out to deal with them that they may not have want to dedicate at that time, and then I can hit them with something strong like a squad of Purifiers. And these guys, like I said, it's just the movement on these guys in an army that already has great movement. They use the Land Raider. They utilize their own abilities well. They just do so much to really push that movement that the Grey Knights can bring. And last, but I'd like to say not least, but this is least, we have 1 Exaction Squad. This is probably going to get shifted over to Breachers here very soon for the extra OC value. There's not much to say with this. It's 11 dudes, because there's the puppy, that will be able to zone out my backfield, and I can heal D3 to the squad. I pick a unit before the game, and I can get boosted attacks into it, but I mean, the Exaction Squad's not going to do that much. Everything they can do, Breachers can do too. It's been a kind of a back and forth with me on them, and kind of leaning towards Breachers now. That extra OC and the fact that they their ability is to reroll wounds into a target that's on an objective marker. So if someone gets into my home field objective, at least these guys have a better chance of doing something into them. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. That's as much as I could say. So, but it's the point of having a very cheap unit that can spread out and cover enough of that ground in the backfield when we start moving across the field later in the game. That's it. That's the list. So I kind of glazed over a little bit with the Purifiers and the Strike and how this whole deep strike mechanic works. So Overwatch tells us that you have to resolve a movement before moving on to the next movement. So in this goes into competitive play as well. I can't move a unit and move my entire army, and then you see how my whole army moves, and then you go, oh, well, you didn't move the unit I wanted you to move in front of my overwatching unit, so now I'm going to go back and shoot with this other unit because I can. You're not able to. It's part of the game where you are able to, if you look at something and you think your opponent might overwatch, you move things specifically. Or a big thing that we talk about is if you have a unit that's within engagement range and you want to move them out of engagement range so that other units can shoot, move everything else first, then fall back out of engagement range. This way your opponent can't overwatch any of those other targets with that unit that they're in combat with if they have a strong overwatch, and could potentially hurt some of your units that you're about to barrel down at that squad. So the way this works with the Purifiers is when the Purifier, if I bring a unit of Purifiers in from reserve using Deep Strike rule, I place them on the field and they resolve first. My opponent could choose to overwatch, do whatever else. I go, okay, that's where the unit is. They're good? Cool. If yes, then I move on to the next one. Now, the strike see that the Purifiers are there, and I can spend a command point and now place them wholly within 6 of the Purifiers, so they're in hollow ground, but outside of 6 of my opponent. So now we can just kind of piggyback that charge anywhere we want across the field. It can be very brutal for being able to steal an objective from somebody and take an objective or get somewhere late game. Because, like I said, Purifiers, even a single model is going to have that aura. So I can drop one solo Purifier model down from a squad and then place another squad within 6 to then charge. So very strong. I like that strat. I don't use it as frequently, but it's nice back pocket. The big one is the one command point to reroll wounds. That's huge, huge emphasis, very powerful. And yeah, I love this attachment. This attachment I think is great, but it does do well with a lot of Purifiers because that's where you're getting the reroll hits from. And just because Purifiers, you have to go that data sheet goes so deep. You go down to I've had so many games where I go down to just 2 or 3 models. And because of the +1 to hit and now +1 to wound because they're under 50, the efficiency continues to go and they're just threatening down to the last model. Now, with these new cards, like I said, a lot of the secondaries complete at the end of your turn. With that, I feel like my detachment, my Grey Knight army that I've been running, does really, really well. Just Grey Knights in general do really well because we can just pick up, have the cards in our hand. It's hard to say because it's like the Grey Knight units are basically the hidden cards we have in our hand. And we're sitting at a blackjack table saying, okay, hit me, hit me, hit me. And when we see the cards lay out there, then we can look at the cards and go, okay, well, do I need a joker? I'm sorry, joker. Do I need a jack? Do I need a queen? Do I need a 3? Do I need a 4? What do I put down to hit 21? And that's kind of what it is. Okay, well, what do I need to do with these units I just picked up and put in strategic to score 8, 10 points, depending on the secondaries? So we'll see. That's my prediction. I feel like Grey Knights are going to do very well in the secondary game. But, if we're all around the outside of the board, we're not doing the primary, so we still need to be efficient in the primary. Purifiers will hopefully help me push into that and be able to score those. So we'll see how this plays out into Lane and his Death Watch. All right, guys, as always, thanks for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.